everybody, for joining us for today's episode of CP Conversations. I'm your host, Nicole Luongo. And if you're not familiar with me or with what I do, I'm an author, I'm a disability advocate, and I'm a published writer. But you can go to my website and learn all about me, because today it's all about my guest, Liz. Liz Venendaal is the director of Fowler International Academy of Professional Coaching's We Live Without Limits division. She and Fowler International's founder, Barry Fowler, who is also the founder of Sylvan Learning Centers, see the tremendous need for rewarding, profitable career options for individuals who have overcome adversity and are often perceived as limited. Liz is also a published author whose work has been featured in many places, including HBO and The Mighty. She and her husband raised their son and twin daughters in Liz's hometown on Long Island, New York. So please join me in welcoming someone who is very special to me, my friend Liz. Liz, yay, you finally made it.
Oh, Nicole, I'm so glad to be here today, and I just love what you're doing and having these CP conversations because they're so important.
Thank you. And I agree. You know, when I was thinking, because you were supposed to come on a lot earlier, but everything got crazy. And then I was like, oh my God, Liz hasn't been on yet. And I have to bring her on. And one of the things that I think our listeners will like to hear about is how you and I met. Would you tell that story? Because I love how you tell it.
Sure, I would love to. So you and I met because I was becoming an adult with CP, which all of us with CP do. It's often perceived as a childhood disability, but as I was growing older, I was having an increased level of pain and discomfort and just kind of looking for answers because I wasn't finding any. And I was really struggling, and through research and my mom's help, I have to give her credit where credit's due. She and I had a conversation, and I was just panic-stricken because I'm a mother, and I was feeling like my CP was progressing in a way where it was really holding me back. And so one day, my mom showed up with a stack of papers and said, I think I have the answer. And she put those papers in front of me, and the first one I read there was an article that you wrote, Nicole, about your experience with SDR surgery. And so in reading that and realizing that that was something that I felt like could help me, and thank God has since helped me very much, I was so excited to read your article and later reach out to you directly. And from there, our friendship has blossomed, and I owe so much to you, so thank you.
Oh, well, you're welcome. And I tell that story so that people can see that if you share your story, you never know who you might be able to help. And I remember getting that message that day, and of course, I shared anything that you needed as far as information, and I said, please, keep me posted and keep in touch. And you did, and we've been friends ever since. And I think it's maybe about 7 or 8 years now, because I'm approaching my 8th anniversary. So we've been friends for a long time. And I want people to know what you're up to now, and how did your life change after you had the surgery?
My life changed in more ways than I could ever anticipate. Many have heard it said, you can't thrive when you're trying to survive. And I was really at a place of survival at that point. I was really struggling day by day to be as just the mom I wanted to be, the woman I wanted to be, and just be productive and accomplished and happy. And I wasn't, because I was really having a hard time. And so having come through SDR surgery, my pain level decreased tremendously. I've been able to just focus on my health and staying active and fit. My ease of movement has changed. I know there's a lot of misconception about SDR. It's seen as a radical approach, which I understand because it's a major operation. But for me and where I was in my life, I was really willing to do just about anything to get relief. And I'm so grateful that it brought me the relief I was looking for. And since I had SDR surgery and I felt like I transitioned from a place of surviving to thriving, I've been able to accomplish a lot since then. I have just created my own career as a professional life coach and become involved with Fowler International as a director, and been able to really connect with a lot of other people within the CP community, which I really didn't do before SDR.
Tell us more about that, Liz.
Sure. So through having SDR, I began writing about my experience, and in doing so, that kind of connected me to other people within the CP community. And I've just developed the most incredible friendships. I will say, out of everything that SDR has given me, nothing compares to the relationships that I have formed and the bonds that I now have with others with CP. And through that, a lot of people were just connecting with me, and some close people in my life were saying, Liz, you're my life coach. Liz, I feel like you're my life coach. And I thought, you know what? Having worked in the mental health field prior to becoming a mother and loving connecting with people in that space and just really feeling so gratified in that role, I thought, you know what, I want to be home with my kids. I want to be present in their lives as much as possible, but I want a career. I want to connect with others outside of my home. And, thank goodness, with technology being what it is today, I was able to go through training at Fowler International and become a certified professional coach and develop my own coaching practice where I support others who have disabilities.
Wow, that is incredible. Not only just you having the surgery and that the surgery helped you so much, but I think it opened a lot of doors for you in terms of self-confidence, and you can obviously correct me if I'm wrong, but I know you a little bit, and I think that you just went for things.
Yeah, I would agree, and you're not the first person to say that. I think for myself, I spent so long trying to hide my struggle, just trying to, and not only to hide it from others, but to really kind of push it down and just say, I don't want to face this. I need to keep moving forward.
The fact that you were in pain, or
the fact that I was in pain, the fact that I had a lot of fear as to what that meant for me because it was progressing. And so a lot of my energy was really focused on just kind of being in a space of denial and moving forward and not thinking about it. And what I've learned now, having coming through that, is that, that clearly is not a productive way to be. But the only way to really kind of overcome is to face things and just be real and honest about them. And so I think a lot of my confidence has grown in just knowing that I can just be my authentic self, and knowing that when I do that, when I'm just who I am and honest about my life and my circumstances, that's when I connect most with other people, and that's really all I want to do.
Yes, that is so true. And tell everybody, how old are your kids?
My kids they all have January birthdays. So my son, yes, all the same week. My son, Cole, is 9, and my twin daughters, Audrey and Scarlett, are 6.
You have a beautiful family. I've seen the pictures because obviously we're friends and I follow what you do. How have they reacted to how you've evolved as a mother and as a person?
Well, I will say being so young, they didn't know, they just know me as mom. They don't, none of their needs are not met. Like, whether it was harder for me before or not, it's like, things need to happen. They need to be taken care of. I need to be active and present. And so I still was all those things. It was just a lot more laborious for me to do so. And so now I laugh because, pre-SDR, I left my career in the mental health field to be a stay-at-home mom. And then in the last several years, I've created my coaching practice, and I'm working a lot more, and I'm connecting with the CP community and doing different speaking engagements and things like that. And they just know me as mom, and they know me as a working mom, which makes me laugh. I tell my husband, I devoted myself to them fully for years and years, and they forget.
Thank you for reminding me. I wanted to tell everybody that they may recognize you because if they attended our conference back in October, they may have gone to your two presentations.
Oh, I cannot tell you how much fun I had at that CP conference. What a joy it was to work with the folks at the Green Mountain Support Services. They are just such a class act, and the friendships and the networking and the people that I connected with through that experience, just that has been amazing. And I had so much fun presenting those 2 days.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I tuned into your presentations and I love them. And in fact, this year, the conference is going to be on October 1st and 2nd. So, all of you who are listening, if you want to learn more about what we do, just go to our website. And if you like what you see here with my interview with Liz, please subscribe to our channel because you can watch all the interviews. Now, Liz, one thing I want to talk about before I forget, because you and I are girlfriends and we just start chatting away. But I was contacted by somebody the other day, another mom who has cerebral palsy. She found my videos on YouTube and she sent me a message and we started talking. And she told me that her two kids, who also love my videos, they wanted me to talk about parents who have cerebral palsy and if they can, quote, have normal kids. And the reason why they asked me this question, and it's heartbreaking, is because her son is being bullied at school because his mom has cerebral palsy.
Oh.
Can you talk about your experience of being a mom and having cerebral palsy?
Sure. That makes me so sad, and I'm happy to answer that and kind of shed a little bit of light on just the parenting piece because, a few years back, I was contacted by KCRW, a radio station in California that through NPR, and they contacted me and said, we have been trying to speak with a mother with CP, and we couldn't find anyone but you. And that kind of blew my mind, and I was happy to have that opportunity. But Nicole, I can tell you there are so many of us moms with CP, so many, and really, there is no connection as far as being a mother and having CP. We're all able to have children. We're physically capable of doing so, and there's no connection between having CP and having healthy pregnancies and children. I'm not a doctor, but all of the knowledge that I have gained has shared that with me, and so. I know for my children, I can only speak to my experience, and it's certainly different for them. It's different for them having a mom with CP. I'm very open about my life in general, and especially with my children. It's not something that's off limits and that we can talk about and we can laugh about and just be honest about our family dynamic. I don't know of my children being teased or bullied, but my kids are also very young, and that is something that I do think about as a mom. I know for myself being in with other parents, it's very interesting to me because there was one situation in particular where I went into my son's school for an after-school event they were having, and he was already there, but I had my twin girls with me, and I walk in with them, and the moms who were there running the show, they were very concerned about me and let me get you a chair, let me help you sit, let me do all of these things, and it kind of boggles my mind that they don't see that I'm here with my kids. I'm moving and shaking like all the other moms, but it can take people back in a certain way, and I think that just really boils down to public perception. I think that people have questions and concerns about what they don't know. And so that's all the more reason why it's so important to have these conversations and for other parents with CP to connect and moms with CP to connect with others, not only within the CP community, but within the people in their area, and just kind of use that as an opportunity to educate even the little ones, and just let them know, what these differences are and what they look like, and that we're not so different after all. So,
How did you react when the other moms were asking you, or did they even ask you, or were they just attempting? It sounds like they were just swooping in and thinking that they needed to help you in some way.
yes, there was a lot of swooping going on, and I know that there's many of us can relate to the fact that even if you have just a disability that impacts your mobility, for some reason people seem to speak very loudly at times as though you can't hear, and so all of those things were happening, and inside I was frustrated. I was, I don't think you ever get used to that. I know I don't, because I don't feel disabled. I don't feel different. I just feel like another human being. And so
just like everybody else, right?
Exactly. And so being treated in such a way, it hurts. But that's my opportunity to assert myself, and I did. And I just let her know that I was fine, and if I needed something, I'd be sure to let her know. But I didn't.
And that's an important point, to let everybody know that it's okay and to speak up for yourself. And really, that's something that all of us should be doing if we are in a situation where we feel like people are, what's the word for it? When people can't really deal with things that they don't know or understand. Yeah. So they're basically coming from a place of their discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
And we know, as people with CP or any disability, that sometimes they're coming from a good place and they mean well. But that's why you and I are doing some of the things that we do to try to change the perceptions, so that things can move forward a little bit, because cerebral palsy is the most common physical disability in childhood, but yet it's never talked about, and you can't see what you can't be. I'm sorry, I said that backwards. Let's try that again. You can't be what you can't see. So if people are out there and they don't see any other parents who have cerebral palsy, they're probably thinking that you're like a unicorn, and just like the people at the radio station, you're the only one that they could find.
Right. And that's such a good point, Nicole. And that's why, in raising my children, we talk about family dynamics and what families look like, and how they can come in any different shape and size, and everyone has challenges, and some are more obvious than others, and that's why we don't judge people by anything but their heart and their character, and that's it. And so that's
I love that. And before we tell everybody about when you were featured on HBO, because I just love that story so much, the last thing on this subject of parenting, I was wondering, Liz, what are the challenges that you have as a parent as a result of having CP, just so people know that you do have challenges, but you still move full steam ahead in life. You're a great mom. I know that because you're my friend. I just want people to know that you don't act like, oh, everything's all roses, but you just do it.
Yeah. I mean, I would say I think that just moms in general, like, there's challenges there, and when you have CP, there's significant other considerations that need to be made. And so for me, that can just be keeping up with my kids when we're out, because I can't physically pick up my children, and when they were little, I couldn't carry them around, and that, I will say, was just heartbreaking to me as a mom, especially when your child's reaching up to you and you can't pick them up because they're little and they don't understand. So what I would do is I would get down on the floor. It's like, I'm not missing the moment. You need a cuddle, you're getting a cuddle, but it's going to work differently for us. And so, for me, I think it's just thinking about yourself and your family and what you need to do, and not what not what you've seen, because there aren't a lot of CP parenting models out there. I had no idea how I was going to do this. And I remember, being big and pregnant and having a conversation and saying, oh, I think did I get in over my head here? Because I have no idea how I'm going to do this. But I think just being honest with the fact that you need to think outside the box and you need to be resourceful. And, I felt like MacGyver at times. It was like, okay, how are we going to make this work? Because we are, but it's not, it's going to be my way. Right. And so I think just kind of being secure in that, secure in needing
Mhm.
help. And, I never mind when people offer me help. I appreciate that, but in a respectful way, not necessarily like those moms at the school.
Yes.
But it is hard. And that's actually one of the reasons why I just wrote a children's book. It's called,
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you. It's called How My Mommy Moves. And so that's going to be released in the next couple of weeks. And it's just, I wanted to have a positive book out there that kind of illustrates how us moms with physical disabilities and moms with CP, we move around differently, but we still do what we got to do.
Will you come back on the show when your book comes out?
I would love to.
I would love that because, there just isn't enough out there. And I just love everything that you're doing. You wear so many hats, and you make it look easy. I know it's not, because you're busy and you have to do so many things with your business and your family. And I know you have a big move coming up. So hopefully we're gonna make it work so that we can meet each other. That's on my bucket list.
Yeah.
But I want to know more about the. Let me just check so I get the title right. You were featured in. You were HBO's Inspiration Room winner, correct?
Yes. I was featured by HBO for Women's History Month. And that was just an incredible experience. HBO was featuring women across history and putting out their raw, unedited journal entries. And so I had written something that I sent over to HBO, and I was thrilled that they selected my writing to feature in their, it was a pop-up exhibition in Soho, and thankfully as a New Yorker I was able to go down there and check it out, and it was an experience I will never forget. And I was just honored to have my work in this space with so many incredible women.
Well, you're a beautiful writer. I can attest to that. Now, because I know a little bit of this story, you basically were writing in your journal, but you didn't really expect anything to happen with it, and you really didn't want to share it, but you did it on a whim, right? And then all of this happened.
I did. The story it's kind of funny in hindsight. Basically, what happened was there was just this one morning when I was getting my son off to school, and not unlike today, I was frozen and icy out there. And normally I'm pretty on top of my game with preparing and just anticipating things like that. But for whatever reason, this day I wasn't. And so I went through all the motions of getting us together and getting him out the door to walk him to the bus stop. And I opened the door and I took that first step and I realized I was going to go flying. And so I was panic stricken because I had my little guy and I had to send him to the bus stop by himself. And it was the first time I ever had to do that. And thankfully in our neighborhood, I could see the bus stop, but I knew it was cold and icy and I didn't want to, but I felt like I had no choice because I wasn't going to make it. And so I sent him off to the bus stop. I watched him go, and he didn't skip a beat. Kids are resilient. And he got on the bus, and I went in the house and closed the door, and I was just hysterical. And I was so upset and just feeling so low, and just so, in that moment, I just felt nothing but disabled. I really did. I felt like that was holding me back in a way that I didn't know how to handle that emotion. And so for me to process things, I write. And so I went up and into my kitchen and sat down with a cup of coffee and I just started writing. And what came out had nothing to do with that situation or those circumstances. It just had to do with me being angry about those aspects of my CP and the way that it does impact me. And so I had written that, and then later that same day, I saw this ad from HBO seeking submissions, and I put it out there. It was just the way everything kind of aligned. Had I not just had that emotionally charged experience and sent it over, and I forgot about it. I completely forgot about it. It was just a whirlwind of a day, and weeks later, I heard back from HBO, and they were featuring my work for Women's History Month.
That's incredible. Yeah. And I'll make sure that you send me the link if there's a way where people can see a
Yes.
story, see how that unfolded. And I know you've been in, stories about that because you've been featured as part of that. And so what I'd like everybody to know about you now as we turn to another topic is tell us about this. Now you're a life coach. Now aren't you a happiness coach now too? And what does that all mean? And how are you liking it?
Oh, I am loving it. I feel like I have to pinch myself because I can't believe that this is my job, because it doesn't, not that it's not work, it's work, but it's just so gratifying. Um, I went through training at Fowler International Academy of Professional Coaching, and the founder there, Barry Fowler, he also founded Sylvan Learning Centers. And so, as someone who was going to, re-enter this education, and I felt like I needed somebody who really knew what they were doing in that. And so that's kind of what kept bringing me back to FIA. I went through their training. I was just blown away by the experience. I felt so equipped and confident to begin my coaching career. And just the way things aligned with that HBO experience, I come through Fowler. HBO was featuring me, and Barry Fowler got word of that, and he called me to congratulate me for that acknowledgement. And so that led to a conversation where he said, hey, what are you doing with your coaching certification? And I said, well, I am a woman with cerebral palsy. I feel like a lot of us have challenges when it comes to finding employment, and a lot of us have lived through some pretty unique experiences with our CP that make us excellent coaches. And so with that, we just had ongoing conversations, and Barry, he is just has a heart of gold, and he was on board with my philosophy. And so together we established We Live Without Limits, which is really, it's the same coaching curriculum that FIA has offered, and Barry's used for over 30 years. We have coaches in 90 countries around the world, but We Live Without Limits is really dedicated to training coaches with disabilities. And, going back to what we were saying, just kind of about putting yourself out there and representing people with disabilities and showing the world what we can do, because so many of us are seen because of our CP as needing support. And that's true. That is true. However, we are also very capable of giving support, and our life experiences and just the lens at which we travel through life with CP just puts us in a great space to kind of model that resiliency and to be amazing coaches to others. So I'm so proud to be the director of We Live Without Limits. We have trained so many coaches with CP who are now going on and helping others and changing lives. So it's been an amazing, incredible, and gratifying experience.
I mean, it's just the twists and turns that your life has taken and where it has led you. It is an amazing journey, because I know that you're someone who, you want to be seen, you want to contribute to society, and you are a very intelligent person. I know a little bit about your background, and you've done so many things, and the fact that now you can pass that on to other people, especially people with disabilities, through your coaching, that has to be gratifying in ways that you might not even be able to verbalize.
It really is. And I'm a very emotional person. I really am. There's a very small window that doesn't bring me to tears, whether it's joy or sadness. But it is emotional, and I do. It kind of blows my mind in a lot of ways, because I never saw myself in this space. I never anticipated that my life would be what it has become. And I think that that's just another kind of message that I want to put out there, because this was, again, just me kind of growing to a place where I felt like being who I am is okay, and being who I am is what I have to give, and I don't need to be anybody else or pretend that things aren't what they are, because that's me, and I want other people to know that they're not alone having CP. I mean, I felt very lonely for many, many years. When I became a mother, I didn't know any other mom with CP. And we're out there. We're out there, and we're doing things, and we're changing that narrative slowly but surely. And I just want other people to feel confident in the many, many strengths that we have, regardless of, where you are, and the support that you may need, because it's not a shortcoming.
Right. And we all have gifts that we can contribute.
Absolutely.
And it's okay that we have a disability. And like one of my friends who owns claiming disability, I think is what it's called. But she is always saying, disability isn't a bad word.
Right.
But it's gotten kind of like maybe a bad rap in some circles. And of course, it's a personal decision how each of us likes to be described. But what I love about your story is that you are an example of someone who is living without limits.
That's it. And that's why, Barry and I had many a discussion about what we were going to call our division. And, we landed on, we live without limits, because the focus is not on the limitations. Everyone has limitations. Mm-hmm. Everyone, whether you have CP, whether you have a different disability. I don't know anyone who is exempt from life challenges. And so, yeah, I don't. And so I think just kind of being able to see that for what it is, and see your circumstances for what they are, and kind of understanding that regardless of what your circumstances are, and I'm all about being real and honest about what that is, because there's no sugarcoating that, and there's no that toxic positivity that can come into things where everything's okay and everything's great. No, it's not. It's not always great, and it's hard and difficult, but with that still, we get one life to live, and it's short and fleeting, and we can make it amazing and beautiful, and it can be what we want it to be, regardless of what else is going on.
That's right. As they say, we get one trip around the sun. Is that the saying? So why not make it the best and live your best life, and incorporate your challenges into how you live your life. Don't let them stop you from doing anything, because people with disabilities, especially people with CP, now we know how to adapt.
Yes.
We know how to, if we can't go over something, we go under it. If we can't go under it, we go around it. So we're very familiar with that. And before you tell everybody where they can find you, how has the reaction been among the people who have disabilities who are now becoming coaches, and your clients as well?
Yeah, I mean, Nicole, it shocks me, because there's such a great need for coaches with disabilities, and I laugh because I'm now in a position where I'm literally often training my competition. Just because you have a disability doesn't mean you're serving that population. You can coach anyone from any walk of life, but I'm often, just because that's what connects with us, I train other coaches whose niche is in that same field, and the need is there. There's so many people who are ready to move forward and ready to change and grow, and just take that next step in their life. And so to be that person for someone who I can identify with in so many ways, I feel privileged. I truly feel privileged to be that person and that coach for my clients, and the other coaches who have CP or other disabilities that I've trained. They're just making an impact day by day, and it's just such a beautiful thing to see that pay forward over and over within their own lives and their clients' lives.
Do you know an estimate of the number? How many people are in your program, or have been through the program, people who have disabilities who are now coaching?
I don't know the numbers. That is a good question. I would say many. I don't know offhand, but there have been many, and there have been many. We offered a scholarship at the last CP conference.
I remember that.
So we have the winner of that, AJ Martins. He's now a certified professional coach, and so There's many, just specifically within the CP community, which of course is near and dear to my heart.
Well, that young boy that I mentioned to you, unfortunately, the one who's getting bullied, he told his mom that I have such a light and that I should be a therapist. So I might be joining your program one day.
Come on board, Nicole. I would love to have you as part of our community. And that's another piece that I just love to speak to, is that Fowler International Academy as a whole, and We Live Without Limits, we're just such a community that we want to support one another in our coaching career. So it's just been amazing, just having that connection with other people, and I would love for you to be a part of it. So let me know.
Yeah, maybe one day I would love it too. And that connection is so needed today, and that's why what you're doing is even more important, because not only are you connecting people with the goals and dreams inside of themselves that maybe they've given up on, and you're able to work with them, and it's so beautiful. You're just a beautiful person. And I am just, sometimes you meet people online and it's the universe's way of just giving you a gift. And when I got that message from you, it was a gift.
Oh, Nicole, thank you so much. I feel the same way. It truly was.
Yes. And so, is there anything else that you would like anybody to know about the, coaching? Or I know you'll tell us where people can find you, but if there was something that you wanted to mention that I didn't ask you, go ahead.
Yeah, I just, when thinking about We Live Without Limits and my coaching career, one question that comes up a lot is, I don't have all the answers. I won't have all the answers for my clients. And what I want people to know is that as coaches, we don't need all the answers. I don't have the answers for anyone, but I have the questions. And that's what coaching is all about, is about connecting with other people, and seeing them for who they are and where they're at, and asking them the questions so they can discover what their best next steps are. Because it's really about letting other people know that you see that in them and you help bring that out of them through coaching.
And then you bring out the possibility. And before you tell everybody where they can find you, just real quick, what do you say to people when they say to you, or have they said to you, Liz, I don't understand, what's the difference between a life coach and a therapist?
Right, so that comes up a lot as well, and that's actually a part of our training, because it's a common misconception. Coaching is all about connecting. It's not a psychological service. We're not approaching that connection from a mental health standpoint. In counseling, you kind of sit in a space where you're just unpacking all those layers of experiences and digging deep into them. And coaching is really forward focused. It's about taking where you are in this moment and moving forward in a positive way. So while counseling, sometimes people, need to look back and need to process things that have happened in the past. Coaching is about moving forward.
That's perfect. Now tell us where everybody can find you.
Okay, I would love to. So everyone can find me through my website, which is www.lizvenendaal.com. I know it's quite the name, but you can also find me if you Google Liz Disability Life Coach. I'm probably going to pop up on Google. You can find me through We Live Without Limits at www.welivewithoutlimits.com. And on those sites, you'll find my email and my contact number and ways that you can quickly and easily reach me.
And Liz will make sure that she sends me any information that she wants me to put in the show notes, so that if you guys are watching this back and you say, hey, where do I contact her? Just look in the show notes. We'll have links for you. And make sure you subscribe to our channel, because next month is Cerebral Palsy Awareness Month. So we're going to have some special things for you guys, and we want you to be involved. And I had such a great time catching up with my friend Liz. She's an amazing example of someone who is living without limits. So I hope everybody will check her out, and keep in mind, she has a children's book that's coming out too. So we're going to want to hear all about that. Thanks, Liz. You're just the best. You know how I feel about you, and I can't wait until we can talk about your children's book. That's so exciting.
I look forward to it. Thank you so much, Nicole.